The best kept secret in the world of Age of Sigmar is that the 9 realms are fueled and powered by ancient mystical beings, the interdimensional pigs. Should a pig be able to use its interdimensional powers to transport itself to another realm, its home realm will begin to weaken slowly until it crumbles into nothingness. And that is exactly what has happened. Deep within the realm of metal, the best dwarves have been keeping a close eye on the interdimensional pig of their realm, which goes by the name of Derek. The pig of the realm of heavens, known only as Tekwin, has managed to channel all of his interdimensional powers and teleport himself into the realm of metal, threatening the realm of heavens. Therefore, the Stormcast Eternals, housed within the realm of the heavens, have taken flight after him, following in his wake, down, deep into this ancient mine. In strange situations such as these, where 2 of the realm-binding piggies find themselves in a single plane, there is only one thing that can solve this apocalyptic pickle. One pig must consume the other, supping on its life force. A fresh incarnation of the pig will then be transported back to its home realm, carrying with it either more power if it is successful, or slightly less power if it is the one that is consumed. Therefore, it's easy to see why the denizens of each realm are eager for their pig to reign supreme so that their realm will become more powerful. To that end, each of the opposing armies seek to aid their piggy in consuming the other in an ancient ritual known as the Porkening. Within ancient temples in each of the 9 realms dwells an ancient racing circuit, suitable only for pigs, for just such an occasion. And this is what we're looking at right here. Derek and Tekwin will charge with all their might around the edge of this circuit in pursuit of one another. The first to catch his adversary and consume his life force will be victorious, and their realm shall grow in power. I will be in command of the forces of the Stormcast Eternals. Via the power of the internet, the forces of the best dwarves will be controlled by Dreddy.
Now listen, you have entered our cave. In the realm of metal where we live, our secret, authentic dwarven cave, because we are dwarves. Look at us. We even have those really big dwarves over there. One of them even has a beard. They're really good dwarves, and we also have other dwarves. So just really believe in us being dwarves, because why would there be any doubt? We are really good at being dwarves, and you have entered the holy and ancient piggy racing arena. I hope you're ready for some porky punishment.
Have faith in our realm's hour of need, my friends. Sigmar's light will guide our piggy. Do not take it easy on our dwarven adversaries. They have been taken in and corrupted by the forces of destruction. Stay true to the mission, and our piggy shall reign supreme.
So, the rules of the scenario are as follows. At the end of each battle round, each one of the pigs, Derek and Tekwin, will move around the circuit. Each one of them, by default, will have a movement of 2d6. Whichever side scores the most wounds during a battle round, their pig will gain an additional d6 to their move distance. In addition, if you manage to get one of your units within 3 inches of your own pig, it will gain d6 inches to its movement. If you get one of your units within 3 inches of the enemy pig, then that pig will lose d6 inches from its movement. If one pig catches up with the other and consumes its life force, then that pig will reign supreme and that side will be victorious. Should the game end after 5 turns with neither pig consuming the other, then whichever one is closest to the rear of its opponent will be the winner. the terrain for this battle. We have a pool here that is deadly, right there. This one here, with all the best dwarves on it, is sinister. The one over here by the Stormcast is also sinister, as is this archway here as well. This ruin up here is mystical, and the Dragon Fate Dais, we're using the proper War Scroll rules for that. So you can sacrifice your troops on it, and if you're standing on the top, you get +1 to your save. Unless you're a priest, but we don't have any priests in this game, so the other rules aren't going to come up.
I'm Derek. Best piggy of the Iron Realms. We race everyone. I don't even care. I'm the best race piggy with them haunches. I have the quickest haunches in all the realms. And the Sigmar pig, and let's get out of here. We race it.
I am Tequin. I'm so heavenly and powerful. I was able to escape from my own realm, and now I'm going to feast on Derek's soul and take it back with me.
So, let us go over the forces, starting with the Stormcast Eternals. In this corner over here, by Tequin, we have 5 Liberators. We have 3 Retributors. We have a Knight Venator and a Knight Zeros. And behind them we have 5 Judicators. Coming in later in the battle, we have 4 Prosecutors. They'll be hoping to swoop down and aid Tequin's mighty quest. In the forces of the best dwarves, we have a Grot Warboss, of course masquerading as a dwarf on a mighty squig. We have a Shaman right behind him, and his ogre comrades. We have a Firebelly and a Tyrant, and representing the genuine Dwarden units that have been duped into joining the forces of the best dwarves, we have 10 Iron Drakes, we have a Bolt Thrower right next to Derek, and waiting to mine their way in, we have 15 miners who could be popping in at any time. So the first thing we're going to do is determine who is going to go first in the first battle round. So I'm going to roll my dice on the table because I am actually physically present right here. And I have a 1. Then, by the power of the internet, we're going to go over to the mystical Dready dice box. It is a 3. So, that means that the best dwarves are going first. Turn 1 for the best dwarves. And they have moved up with the Ogre Tyrant and the Firebelly and the 2 Goblin characters, moving towards the Dragon Fate Dais, where the Stormcast lie beyond. The Iron Drakes had a command ability used on them, so they're not going to require any battle shock tests until their next hero phase. And the Tyrant had a Mystic Shield put on him. The Gyrocopter moved onto the Dragon Fate Dais, so that's going to benefit from a +1 to its save, and then it fired at the Knight Venator, but couldn't put any wounds on him. However, you will notice that 2 wounds have been applied to that Retributor. That's because the Bolt Thrower, the unfashionable Bolt Thrower, moved up a little bit and fired its bolts into that unit. 2 wounds on him. So, there's 2. If I can't score at least 2 wounds, then it's going to be the best dwarves piggy that's going to have the bonus, Derek, at the end of the battle round. So, the Stormcast Eternals turn 1. As you can see, the Prosecutors have not come into play yet, and everything has moved up a little bit, staying off the piggy track. I'll explain why in a moment. But the Retributors ran a hefty 6 inches, which has taken them almost into the thick of the action, and then all my shooting attacks from the Judicators and the Knight Venator, which were aided by the Knight Zeros being within 10 inches of the Gyrocopter, they decided to shoot at that. However, I was only able to put a single wound on it, so it still has 3 remaining, which also means that the best dwarves inflicted more wounds in this turn. I decided not to do any charging, even though I probably could have charged the Gyrocopter potentially and scored more wounds, but I decided it wasn't worth getting that close to the big juicy ogres just yet. So we're going to be moving the piggies now, and the reason we have stayed off the piggy racing track is because any model that is passed over by a speeding pig, for every wound the model has, you roll a dice, and for every 4+ it takes a mortal wound, so you do not want to be on that golden strip around the edge of the racetrack here, where the pigs are going to be speeding along. So I managed to get one of my units within 3 inches of my own pig, so I'm going to be rolling an additional dice, which is 3, and Dreddy managed to get within 3 inches of her own pig, and also scored more wounds in the battle round than I did. So she's going to be rolling 4 dice. So I'm going to roll my 3 first of all. Right here. So see how far my pig moves. Ooh, that's a pretty good roll. My pig is going to be moving 6 plus 5 plus 2. My pig is going to be moving 13 inches. And we have the camera at the laptop screen here. Let's see how many inches Derek is going to move. Okay, there we go. So Derek is going to move 18 inches. That is quite hefty. So I will move the pigs right now, and then we'll be back for a roll to see who's going to get the next battle round first. Now we're going to have the roll off for battle round number 2. So here we go. I have a 3, and let's see what the best dwarves can get. Oh, and it's a 6. So the best dwarves going first again. The best dwarves turn 2, and they've continued their advance. The tyrant, the firebelly, and the grot boss on the squig moved up there. However, the wizard had a little bit of a bad trip, so unfortunately he's not able to do anything this turn because he rolled a 1 at the start. Lucky he wasn't stuck on a pig track when he did that. The iron drakes have formed a firing line next to this piggy, aiming out over the Stormcast, and the bolt thrower moved up a little bit there. The gyrocopter decided to move off this piece of terrain over there, where the miners also came in, underground, with their advance through the ruins. They've popped up right there, and it was quite fruitful shooting phase for the best dwarves. They managed to kill 2 retributors. One of them just needed finishing off from last turn by pouring a lot of fire into them from the gyrocopter and the bolt thrower and the tyrant's pistols. And the iron drakes took aim at the Knight Venator and took a wound off him, and also at the Liberators and killed one of them. They're not going to require any battle shock tests because of the command ability that was used on them last turn, but the final Retributor, his 2 buddies are dead, so he's going to have to take 1. He's got a bravery of 7, so on the roll of a 6, he will also run away. So here we go, live battle shock. It's a 3, so he's fine. So, Stormcast Eternal turn 2, and it was very, very eventful. Lots and lots of shooting. So, unfortunately, the final Retributor decided he was going to be befuddled by way of being next to this mystical piece of terrain, so he just didn't do anything. It's lucky he wasn't on the pig track, or he could have got run over in a minute. The Knight Azeroth stayed within 10 inches of the Ogre Tyrant, because that's where all my shooting was going to be focused. And the Knight Venator fired its once per game shot at him, and it actually hit, but unfortunately only rolled a 1 for the number of wounds it was going to do, so it was 1 plus 3, which was 4, and then he got his armour saves, of course. The Judicators also fired at him, and as a result of all that, he was put down to 3 wounds remaining, so he lost 6 because he gained 1 at the beginning of the battle. Also, the bird flew at him as well, and tried to claw him up a bit, and a couple of the prosecutors, which came down over on this side, were within range to fire at him as well. The other 2 fired into the Iron Drakes and didn't do any damage. They then decided to charge into the Iron Drakes because I was down on the number of wounds done in this battle round, so I needed to kill some of them in close combat, and the prosecutors did just that, killing 3 of them. So, that means I'm ahead on wounds, so the Stormcast Eternals are going to get an extra dice for the piggy sprinting. The Liberators moved up a bit as well, but they can only run 1 inch, so they haven't made that much ground at all. So I think the roll for the next turn is going to be quite crucial, but we're going to do the pig rolling first. Because I managed to get within 3 inches of Derek, then the best dwarves are only going to have 2 dice to roll, because they're also within 3 inches of it, so they just cancel each other out, so he's just getting the standard 2. I'm getting 4, because I'm within 3 inches of Tequin, and also I did more wounds. So let's do my roll first of all, to see how far Tequin is going to move. Here we go. It's 10, 12, 13 inches, which it's not too bad. It could have been better, considering I got 4 dice. Let's see what the 2 dice of the best dwarves can get. Here we go. 6 inches only. There we go. So I'll move the pigs and then we'll be back to see who's going first in the next battle round. Derek is working his way towards that corner, but slightly further along is Tequin, who is right next to the gyrocopter right now. He's slightly closer to the corner, which means he's made a little bit more progress so far, so Stormcast Eternals technically in the lead right now. We're going to have the roll to see who's going first in the third battle round now. I'll do mine first, right down here. It's a 5. Can they beat 5? No, they can't, so the Stormcast Eternals get 2 goes in a row. That could be quite crucial to the outcome of this game. Stormcast Eternal turn 3, and it was very, 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 very fruitful. You may notice that the Tyrant is dead. Well, first of all, the Knight Azeroth flew up onto the Dragon Fate dais here, so he was still illuminating that particular target. And then, when the Judicators fired into him, he only had 1 wound left after that barrage, which was finished off by the Knight Venator's bow. So, he is totally toasted. No more Ogre Tyrant. The Knight Venator was then able to unleash his Eagle, which went after this Goblin Shaman, and took 2 wounds off him, so he's only got 2 left. The Liberators charged into this combat with the Iron Drakes, sandwiching them, with Prosecutors on the other side still. And then when we got round to combat, they managed to kill 3 of them off. And you can see that the Iron Drakes did absolutely nothing in retaliation. You'll see over here that the Bolt Thrower has lost a crewman. That's because the Prosecutors decided to fling their hammers over there, but they didn't get a particularly good roll, so only killed 1, which might be quite bad. The final Retributor, who became ensorcelled this turn, he decided he was going to go after the Gyrocopter, and he destroyed it in 1 fell swoop. So off goes the Gyrocopter, meaning that the miners are going to have to hope they don't become befuddled and try and get close to that pig in their turn. All in all, I was able to dish out 14 wounds. We've got a battle shock test to do for the Bolt Thrower. If on the roll of a 6, another crewman will run away. It's a 4, so nope, no more casualties for that. It's going to be into the best dwarf turn, and they've got 14 wounds to equal to stop me getting that extra piggy dice. Let's see what they can do, because they've lost some quite significant members of their army right now. They've still got the Firebelly left, still got the Goblin on the giant squig, and they've still got all those miners up there in the ruins. So it's not over for them just yet. Let's see what they can do. So we're partway into the best dwarves turn 3, and we're going to give you a little bit of a sum up of what's happened so far, because the combat phase is getting a little bit complicated, so we're going to cover that separately. So first of all, the Firebelly was able to unleash quite a devastating spell in the hero phase, which took out a couple of Prosecutors, which wasn't very nice at all, and then the rest of them were finished off from the shooting attacks of the Iron Drakes and the Bolt Thrower. So they're all dead, all those Prosecutors, in 1 fell swoop, which is not very good at all. That was quite a significant portion of my troops that have fallen right there. Also, the Firebelly then charged into the Liberators, so they might not be too healthy in a minute either. In the middle, the boss on the large squig decided to charge up onto the Dragon Fate dais to attack the Knight Azeroth, and they're going to duel to the death in a minute. And over here, the miners, who became ensorcelled rather than befuddled, which was lucky for them, came in here and charged round the back of the pig, being careful not to stand on the track where the pig could potentially just go nuts and overrun them all, and went into the final Retributor. Only 5 of them are going to be able to attack because of their conservative approach of not wanting to stand in front of the piggy. We'll see if that comes back to bite them or not. We shall see. So, we're going to move into the combat phase now, and we'll get back to you with the result of that, because there's quite a few. We've got this one down here, with the Iron Drakes and the Firebelly against the Liberators. We've got that one, and we've got the duel in the centre, so we'll be right back. So, in the close combat phase of the best dwarves, it didn't go necessarily to plan for them. The first thing that happened, the big squig boss, who jumped up here, did no wounds to the Knight Azeroth, and when he got round to striking back, he put 1 on him, I think, so he's down to 5 wounds. Down here, the Liberators decided to strike at the Iron Drakes before they were killed by the Firebelly, potentially, and they managed to take out 3 of them. When the Iron Drake and the Firebelly struck back at them, they didn't actually do any damage. The only reason one of them's dead is because of the aura, the Firebelly's magical cloak, that anyone within 3 inches, D3 mortal wounds at the end of the combat phase. So that's the reason for his demise. Up here, the miners got to strike first on the Retributor and took 2 wounds off him. So he's only got 1 left, and then when he struck back, he killed 4, which is quite tasty. And he survived as well, so that means he is within range of the piggy. So we've each got a unit in range of Tequin, so those are going to cancel each other out. Over here, I've got a model within 3 inches of Derek, so that means I'm going to take away one of his dice. So the Stormcast did 22 wounds, and the best dwarves did 12. So that means the Stormcast and Tekwin are going to get an additional piggy dice for that. So it's going to be 3 dice against 1 for the piggy phase now. So we're going to go over to the battle shop first though, because it might actually get even worse for the best dwarves, because the Iron Drakes, you'll need to take 1, because they took 3 casualties, and the miners took 4, so they'll also need to take 1. So let's have the Iron Drakes first, who took 3 casualties. Here we go. It's a 5, that's a total of 8. So that means the final Iron Drake is going to run away, which is not very good at all. And now let's go on to the miners, who took 4 casualties. Let's see if they can roll badly as well. They have bravery 6, so it's fine, because they only took 4 casualties. So none of them run away. And now we're going into the piggy phase. So the Stormcast, first of all. Here we go, let's see how far Tekwin can go. It's 6 plus 5, so that is 11. Okay, so 11 dice for Tekwin. Let's see how far Derek can go with his 1 dice. Dun 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 dun. It's a 5, so not bad. Better than he could have expected. So I'll move the piggies, and then we'll get back and see who's going to go first in battle round number 4. So Derek is approaching the corner. He's not there yet. Whereas Tekwin has spun round that corner and he's herring his way down here. So the Stormcast and their heavenly piggy, Tekwin, are in the lead at the moment. Let's see who's going to go first in battle round number 4. This could be crucial as well. So here we go. The orange Stormcast dice first of all. And it's a 4. And let's see what the best dwarves can roll. It's a 5. So they've got 2 in a row. Very, very good timing for that indeed. The best dwarves turn 4. So you may notice that of the remaining 3 liberators dead. That's because they took 2 arcane bolts to the face. 1 from the Firebelly, who has since moved away, and 1 from the Shaman in the pool. The Firebelly, after that, decided to run up the stairs to get into this fight with the Knight of Zeros. And the Knight of Zeros only has 2 wounds left after it struck at him. The Knight then had a go at the Squig and put 2 wounds on it. And then that struck back at him, but he made his saves, so he's still hanging in there. Over here, the final Retributor was shot down by the Bolt Thrower, and after that had moved a little bit closer to get to within 3 inches of the piggy, so that leaves the miners with nothing else to do right now. They weren't befuddled, but they still didn't really have anything available to them, so that's going to be the end of that turn. So moving into the Stormcast turn 4, see what the Stormcast can do. Still got the Knight Venator and the Judicators over there. The Knight of Zeros just clinging to life in the centre. So, Stormcast Eternal, turn 4. Very, 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 very good, because, first things first, the Knight of Zeros unleashed its once per game The Light of Sigmar ability, which put D3 wounds on the nearby units. It finished off the Squig Meister, and it put 3 wounds also onto the Firebelly, which really crippled that. So, very potent ability, that one, if you can just get it into the middle of enemy lines. So it's lucky he survived last turn to be able to use that. Then, the Judicators, all of them fired into the Firebelly and finished it off, so the Firebelly is dead. The Knight Venator fired its bow and sent its eagle all the way across here at the Bolt Thrower crew, but couldn't damage them because they both made their saves. Oh dear, so that was unfortunate. That just about cancels out the nice rolling that killed off these 2 beasties. So, in terms of the pig state of play, I have a unit within 3 inches of the enemy pig, the Realm of Metal pig. The dwarves have a unit within 3 inches of the Realm of Heaven's pig, so that reduces the amount of dice they would have by 1. I did more wounds, so I'm going to get an extra 1, so that puts me up to 2, back to my usual complement of dice, and unfortunately for the dwarves, they're only going to be rolling 1. So, let's have the Tekwin roll first of all. Here he goes. It's a 4 and a 6, so 10 inches. That is quite tremendous distance there from Tekwin. Let's see what Derek can do with his 1 dice. Here we go. It's a 6 with that baggy dice. Notorious for rolling 6s. So that could be crucial. That 6-inch piggy sprint. Well, I'll go and move those piggies, and then we'll come back with rolling for turn 5. Tekwin has almost reached his 2nd corner, whereas poor Derek has only just made it round this one. Poor Derek. So let's see who's going to go first in the 5th battle round. The Stormcast roll a 3, and the best dwarves roll A 3, so we're going to re-roll. Let's have the best dwarves going first this time. It's a 5. So let's see if the Stormcast can beat that. It's a 3 again, so the best dwarves are going to be going first in battle round number 5. Let's see how that turns out for them. They don't have much left. Only miners and the bolt thrower, I think. And actually this little goblin shaman as well. Okay, a bit of drama in the best dwarves turn 5. The goblin shaman decided to unleash an arcane bolt up onto the Dragon Fate dais at the Knight of Zeros. Succeeded, doing D3 wounds on him. He only had 2 left, but as you can see, he still has 1 because it could only roll a 1. Oh dear, so he's still alive. And then, well, you thought maybe the bolt thrower could shoot at him with its bolts, which it did, but as you can see, he's still alive because being up there gives him such an incredible save. It was very, very difficult for it to get through, and he was able to pass both his saves. The miners have just kind of run out into the open because they were getting a bit bored over there. They want to get into the action, but they're not going to have a chance to do much because the game will end after the Stormcast turn. So a wound was inflicted, so if I can do 2 wounds, then I'm going to get the piggy bonus for the final turn, which hopefully will be enough to seal a victory, but you never know. A really bad roll and a really good roll on the last turn could sway it. So, Stormcast turn 5, the final turn. First things first, the Knight Zeros flew over towards the bolt thrower, which then illuminated it as a target, which allowed the Knight Venator, all the way over there, to unleash its ranged fury on the bolt thrower crew and killed them both, which meant that the piggy, Tequin, is now freed up, ready to roll. And then the Judicators fired at the miners, who were also illuminated, which resulted in 3 of them being killed as well. So they're going to need some battle shock in a minute, not that it'll really make a difference to the game. And then the Knight Zeros decided to fly over here and charge into the Shaman and finished him off in close combat. So, we'll do that battle shock in a moment, and then we'll do some piggy rolling, because in terms of the state of pig play at the moment, Tequin is unopposed, but I'm not close to him. But I did more wounds, so I'm going to have 3 dice in total. And Derek, who has the Knight Venator right next to him, is only going to be rolling 1 dice. So I don't think it's really possible for him to make up sufficient ground right now. So the Miners' Battle Shock, 3 casualties. Let's see. Bum, 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 bum. It's a 1, so they're fine. We're going to do the final piggy roll of the game. Here we go. So Tequin has 3 dice to play with. Here he goes. He moves 9 inches. Derek gets a 6, so he's doing his best. I'll move them and then I'll come back. So as you can see, Tequin has made some considerable distance during this game. He's got past 2 corners and is well on his way down this straight here, whereas Derek is still pretty much halfway between those 2 corners there, almost. So he didn't quite make it as far, which means the Stormcast Eternals have been able to generate more power into their realm's pig, which means that the realm of heavens is going to be swollen with magical energies very shortly, and the realm of metal, home to the best dwarves, is going to be a little bit weak for a while. So we hope you enjoyed that game. Very, very entertaining scenario, I think, and I would encourage all of you out there to try it. Also, anyone supporting the Andean Realm Battle Report Patreon, don't worry, this did not count as one of your Patreon-pledged battle reports, since obviously no travelling was involved here, because Mr. Remington wasn't involved. I was able to do it all from the comfort of my own attic and the internet. So this won't count, you're still going to get your 2 Andean Rome battle reports. Almost 2 battle reports a month we're up to. Not quite, almost. So let's go over to the old Dread Cave and get a bit of a wave there as we depart.
Impossible! How can we lose with Derek, our prized interdimensional realm race piggy? It has never lost a race, and we fed it so much iron to give it more energy, but it might just have been too heavy in the end. And the Sigmar people, they cheated by greasing up their piggy, I saw it, with my own authentic dwarven eyes. But you won't win the next race, I tell you, you won't.
You kept your faith, my friends. Those of you who still remain, the power of Sigmar's personal bacon sandwich shall never be questioned again. Back home, I say.
I'm Derek.